Bienvenidos a un nuevo episodio del podcast del Salón de Idiomas. And well, today I have a special guest. Welcome, Elissa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. So tell me a little bit about you so all our listeners can get to know you a little bit better.
Right. So I am from Connecticut, USA, born and raised in a small town of 2,000 people, and grew up there my whole life, and went to school in Connecticut, college, and I studied. I've been a kindergarten teacher for 8 years, and I decided to make a big move and come here to Spain and actually Europe. This is my first time being here in Europe as well.
Wow. So definitely not a small move.
Yes.
Wow. So you crossed the ocean and now you're in the biggest city of the country. Wow. How does that feel?
Yes, it was a lot of different changes all at once. So it was a different city, different language, because I'm also learning Spanish. So it's a lot of changes at once, but go big, like they say. Go big or go home. So
nice. I like that one. Cool. So what brought you to Spain?
So part of it was I wanted to learn the language, and I am also here and supporting 3 bilingual teachers in a school, and I help support them with English in science and social studies, and it's just been such a wonderful experience seeing how different the school systems are here and compared to the US. And so I've just learned so much, and it's been great too to really take a back seat to not be the head of the classroom, to be a support, and just learning so many different teaching styles. And with the 3 teachers I work with too, it's just amazing to see how different they are. And just done a lot of reflection and learned a lot of great different teaching methods that I'm looking forward to using in the future.
Cool. So now, what are these kind of like teaching methods that you keep bringing up?
Yeah. So, also too, it's like amazing just how different, just even like the little languages, like for example, when my first day, all the teachers like, okay, boys and girls, tidy up. I'm like, tidy up? What are they cleaning?
What is that?
Right? And so quickly I was like, oh, they mean clean up. So it means clean up. And so just those little bit of languages. And then as far as also too, the UK English versus like I thought I knew English being like a native speaker. And it was funny just hearing words.
And then the kids come to you and they say, teacher, where is the rubbish bin? And you're like, what is that?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Is it the same?
You should not use that language, little kid.
Right. So it's been really great just learning all the differences that the schools have provided. So the experiences.
And what is your favorite British word so far?
Ooh, well, because I love food, probably chips.
Oh, cool.
Which I would say is fries. So it's very, very interesting, but learning a lot every day, new experiences every day. So.
Okay. And what is a typical day like in a school?
Yeah. So in the US, my day was a little bit longer. So here the students arrive at the same time at 9, and then they leave at 2, where in the US, I would have the students till 4. And some of the differences for that is we have a half an hour for recess, my students got in the USA, and then a half an hour for lunch, where here it's the same. It's just a half an hour where the kids have a little snack, and then they eat their like fuller lunch once they get home for the day. So that was a difference in the schedules. But then, it's amazing to see, like, so walking through my day, like what I would do each day in the US. So the students would arrive, and then in the morning it would be heavy English skills. So I would be doing like an hour of reader's workshop, and then an hour of writer's workshop. And so the workshop model, are you familiar with the workshop model?
No, can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so reader's workshop, and writer's workshop too. So you start with a mini lesson. And so you gather the students together and you teach a new teaching point, and then there's the independent practice. So then my students would go off, I would teach a reading mini lesson, and then the students would go off and practice independently on their own. They all had their own book bins and they would read around the room, and then we would come back together for closure. So that's like the workshop model.
Wow.
And with that, you have a bunch of like partner reading, and you can do a lot of small group work. So it's very, very different.
So this all seems really fruitful. Now, what happens if one of your students doesn't achieve, their progress goal or something?
Right. Throughout I feel like it was always like every few weeks I would reassess my students. And so I would form groups, reading groups based on how they are performing. And so if they weren't making benchmark, then I would have what's called SRBI, scientific research-based intervention, where I would come together as a team with the reading teacher, support staff, sometimes the psychologist if it was more of like a behavior problem that we were working on. And so we would meet as a team and develop goals. And so it would be through a 6-week period where we would implement those goals and then go from there to reassess. So that was a great way to track progress and see if they're meeting benchmark.
Wow. So. And now, does this involve parents as well, or is there something else where you involve the parents?
The parents are aware. We make them aware of this because that's a big thing too, of that communication and that support for at home is so crucial for the students' progress. So, but that's something that only through the school that we do.
Okay. Now, you mentioned a little bit of these reading workshops. Now, do they all read the same book, or do they have different books? How does it go?
They have different, I would have a very diverse range of students each year. Like some were reading, like some would come in and not even know how to write their name, where some they would be reading at a level above benchmark. And so it was very significant, different range of learners. And so for benchmarks, so what that is so 3 times a year, I have to give a reading assessment. And so if they're not reading at the appropriate level, then that's when we usually take a look and maybe go to SRBI or figure out different other strategies to use in the classroom to help support them to meet the grade level point that we want them to be at that point of the year, reading, and for math as well, for goals.
So everything is extremely thorough. I love that. Now, how do you translate this into the Spanish system?
So they have very frequently exams. So I've helped support teachers with doing the speaking part of the exam, especially. And so that is assessed and they get marks based on how they're doing with those subject areas. So through exams.
Now, so far, what have you learned from these teaching methods here in Spain?
It's amazing to see the progress, especially with the vocabulary in science and social studies of what they're learning. And what I love about the curriculum that they do here is it's a very repetitive approach where each year it's the same concepts and same skill sets, but it builds upon it every year. And so for my fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, they're learning about the same topics, but it goes more in depth. So it takes a look at it in a deeper, not surface level, but beyond the surface level. So it goes much more in depth for critical thinking skills.
Yeah, it also helps them to retain the previous information, doesn't it?
Right. And I think what gets it to that greater next step, like scaffolding it to what the students need at what level they are, is really applying that whole world thinking approach and real life scenarios. Like everything that I'm learning, how can I apply this to real world scenarios?
Wow.
Yeah.
For little kids.
Yes.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
I was just in kindergarten today, and they had a diagram of the human body parts, and it's like, this is what they're learning in kindergarten. And then here I am in sixth grade watching very thorough presentations of body parts of them working together. And it's just amazing to see how it spirals throughout the grades, and how it's the same content, but it's taught in a very systematic way through the grades. And that's what I see, is that the teachers are very great about communicating with each other from kindergarten all the way up to sixth grade. They have the same routines for even notebook taking, which is amazing. It just helps make everything for them to be more ready to learn. The readiness of it.
Yeah, and it seems a little more organized. And that way also, I believe that you also end up building a community in school, since like teachers are gonna end up talking to each other, so they know what the previous students were like, perhaps like their weak points and strong points, and since they're going to just delve into what they have already learned, then perhaps they might have an interesting approach, even though that there might some things that could be fixed. They could have their personal touch in it, right?
Right. Yeah. And speaking of personal touch too, like one thing that I do in my lessons that I kind of brought from the United States that we do a lot of what's called pair and shares, or think alouds. That's a great reading strategy that us teachers learn for think alouds. Is if we're reading a book, we really don't allow the students to interact a lot with the books. It's more of the students watching us think aloud to the book. So if I'm reading a book, I say, and something's happening, I'll show the students of what's like, almost like taking a look inside my mind. So that way it can get them to instilling these reading skills for them to go off and do it, like in the reader's workshop I was talking about. So if I model a think aloud and say, I wonder what's going to happen to the dog based on using the picture here, and modeling the thinking, it helps support them once they go to do it independently on their own.
Yeah, which and it also helps them to be engaged, since if you like deliver everything, then they're not, perhaps it's less likely that they're gonna engage, so they want to figure that out on their own, right?
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's that application, right? It's that transfer. That we use that word a lot, transferring the responsibility to the students.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah, so you're taking seriously the kids. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. And now, what is your favorite subject?
I would say it is reading. I actually got a second degree. I have certification in reading specialist. So a big thing in the United States is reading and math intervention, or WIN time it's called. So it's WYN, and it stands for what you need now. So I'm sorry, WYNN, what you need now. And so it's a half an hour in the school day where everything is stopped, and well, not stopped, but small groups occur. And so we have our reading intervention teachers come in, and they could be supporting students that need intervention at low level, but it also could be students that need enrichment, which they're above benchmark. So it's a really great time, and it gets the kids to the benchmarks and making progress. So with that being said, I just have invested a lot of time in reading because I enjoy it myself, and it's I love teaching it as well because I love those moments where it just clicks for the students.
Yeah. I guess that it has to be so rewarding when they are struggling a little to understand something, and then they have this eureka moment. It's like, I finally get it. Like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah. So and it's amazing, and that just made me think of something that just rewarding and just having those moments. So one thing that my school does through the PTO, they help support what's called the Big Read, which is where everybody at our school is reading the same book at the same time, and you have a schedule. And so it's even the bus drivers, the lunch ladies, everyone. So it brings such a great community feel, and it's just one extra thing that the PTO does that makes it such a great community and culture for the school.
So you see, what I love about this is that in the end, everyone is going to have something in common. And like they're going to share something, and they could just have little conversations about
the
this book.
Love of reading.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great.
That's wonderful. Now, for those who don't know, what does PTO stands for?
So PTO stands for Parent Teacher Organization. So it's a group of parent volunteers who get together and spend time to help create events for the school and raise money. They do a lot of fundraising and just overall bring so much great aroma to the school. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And now, what are you expecting from the rest of the year here in Spain?
Oh, so much. Where do I begin? I mean, definitely from the school perspective that I'm working in, I'm already seeing, and I can't wait to continue to see my students making more progress in speaking English. And the great thing is, like, I also am going through the same journey as them.
Yeah, right.
Where I'm learning the language as well. So it's been a great way for me, and I have empathy of just how they feel. Like I'm in their in the expression of like in the shoes, right? Or in the person's shoes, where I'm able to understand and feel what they're feeling. And so definitely learning the language is a big part of what I expect. And I'm growing with my students too with that aspect. So it's a really exciting journey to see. And I'm looking forward to seeing that happen as I'm here in Spain. So.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it will. So I couldn't be happier to have you here. And well, I believe that will be it for today. Now, would you please let our listeners know what they could do if they like this?
Yes. Thank you for joining us and listening in. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Cool. Thank you so much.
So I'm really looking forward to having you here again. And well, take care. So bye.
Bye.
Y bueno, ya que estoy de regreso, y en el episodio de hoy estuve hablando con Elissa, profe de infantil, quien viene de Connecticut, Estados Unidos, y se nos unió para comentarnos un poco de su historia, de las diferencias en el sistema educativo en España y Estados Unidos. Elissa definitivamente hizo un giro de 180 al venir a Madrid. Dejó atrás un pequeño pueblo de Connecticut, trabaja como profe en un cole aquí y además está aprendiendo español. Como dice Elissa, go big or go home. Elissa nos cuenta que vino a España ya que quería aprender español. Quería conocer cómo serían los métodos de enseñanza de aquí y espera poder utilizar lo aprendido en el futuro. Por ello, está también trabajando como profesora auxiliar en un colegio bilingüe y, según ella, todo esto ha sido una experiencia muy enriquecedora. Para la sorpresa de Elissa, también estaría aprendiendo o haciéndose con el inglés británico, siendo este el que se enseña con más frecuencia en España. Chips o French fries, como se diría en Estados Unidos, es su palabra británica favorita. Ahora, continuemos con las diferencias del sistema educativo de su país y España, teniendo como punto de partida un día típico de escuela. En Estados Unidos las clases empiezan igual, a las 9, pero terminan más tarde, a las 4 p.m., a diferencia de la hora de salida de aquí, que suele ser a las 2 p.m. Esto se debe a que en Estados Unidos tienen media hora de descanso y media hora para el almuerzo. En Estados Unidos, los estudiantes al llegar a clases se enfocan en trabajar una hora las destrezas de lengua inglesa, reading y writing, teniendo sus respectivos workshops o talleres. Elissa nos cuenta que en estos talleres empiezan con una mini lección y después de explicar un tema de la clase, los alumnos tienen The Independent Practice, que básicamente es que los alumnos practican por su cuenta el reading o el writing hasta el último momento, cuando se reúnen para finalizar el taller. De esta manera se fomenta la lectura en pequeños grupos. Yo entonces le pregunto a Elissa qué ocurre si un estudiante no logra cumplir con los objetivos planteados. Y ella me comenta que en intervalos de algunas semanas se evalúa a los alumnos y de no estar en los puntos de referencia o benchmarks, se procede a lo que se llama SRBI, Scientific Research Based Intervention, o por su traducción en español, intervenciones basadas en investigaciones científicas. Estas constan de una reunión del tutor con los compañeros de diferentes áreas, maestros de lectura, equipos de apoyo e incluso, en unos casos, psicólogos, si hablamos de un problema de comportamiento. Juntos analizan el caso e implementan unos objetivos para poder registrar mejor el progreso del estudiante. Todo esto, claro, con los padres del alumno al tanto, aunque realmente no se tienen contemplados durante este proceso. Por otro lado, y siguiendo con la línea de las metodologías de Estados Unidos, en los talleres es común que los alumnos lean libros distintos dependiendo de su nivel. Algunos pueden estar con un nivel más básico y otros llegar a leer textos con niveles incluso por encima del benchmark. Para un mejor seguimiento, Elissa lo que hacía es hacer una evaluación de lectura cada 3 meses para corroborar que se está cumpliendo los objetivos y, en caso contrario, recurrir al SRBI u otras estrategias. Por cierto, esto también funciona para otras asignaturas como matemáticas. Ahora, en relación con el sistema español, Elissa nos comenta que primero, aquí hay evaluaciones frecuentes y ella apoya a los profes que evalúan a los alumnos conforme a su desempeño, principalmente en el speaking. Por otro lado, a Elissa le gusta este sistema porque, según ella, se aprende con mayor profundidad, ya que cada año, aunque se estudien los mismos temas, esas asignaturas se exploran con mayor complejidad, y esto también ayuda a afianzar lo aprendido con anterioridad. Nuestra invitada explica también que con este sistema los estudiantes son capaces de aplicar sus conocimientos en situaciones cotidianas, pues adquieren cada vez una percepción más integral de cada ámbito enseñado. Este método también evidencia la comunicación entre maestros, ya que promueve una organización del contenido de las asignaturas para que se enseñen de manera efectiva. Aparte, también fomenta el sentido de comunidad en las escuelas. Una cosa que a Elissa le gusta aplicar en sus clases es una técnica que en Estados Unidos se llama thinking aloud o pensar en voz alta, que consiste en compartir lo que se piensa mientras se está leyendo. Pueden ser opiniones o dudas que surgen o incluso especulaciones. Esto ayuda a los estudiantes a estar más concentrados en la trama de la historia y a que comprendan mejor, aparte de entrenar la capacidad de síntesis y de prestar atención a lo que se está leyendo. Este método también tiene como fin transferir, como dice Elissa, la responsabilidad del aprendizaje a los estudiantes y procurar que sean más independientes. Por si no quedó claro durante la conversación, a Elissa le encanta la lectura y de hecho tiene una especialización en ello. Su conocimiento profundo en este tema le ayuda también a proponer en los talleres de los que hablamos antes una técnica llamada What Do You Need Now. Con esta técnica no solo se provee ayuda a los estudiantes que tengan ciertas dificultades, sino también a aquellos que estén por encima de los objetivos establecidos. No es de extrañar que a Elissa le encanta la enseñanza. Otra idea que Elissa menciona es The Big Read, que es una propuesta bastante interesante donde todos, y nos referimos a todos los miembros de la escuela, tanto estudiantes como maestros y demás empleados, leen el mismo libro siguiendo una agenda. De esta manera se fomenta aún más la comunidad entre todos. The Big Read es organizado por el PTO, o Parent Teacher Organization, un grupo de padres voluntarios que ayudan a crear eventos o recaudar dinero para la escuela. Para finalizar, le pregunto a Elissa qué espera del resto de su experiencia en España. Nos comenta que principalmente quiere ver el progreso tanto de sus alumnos en su proceso de aprendizaje como el suyo a la hora de aprender español. Y bueno, eso ya sería todo por hoy. Si les ha gustado el video, por favor denle el botón de like y recuerden que pueden suscribirse a nuestro canal de YouTube y también seguirnos en todas nuestras redes sociales. Los espero para un próximo episodio y espero que estén muy bien. Take care. Bye.